What if I told you that there's a Pokémon game out there that actually released like any other, but wasn't even supposed to exist at all? You might be wondering how something like that could even happen, but it could very possibly be the case, and in this video, we are going to explore this idea and why it's an interesting story of intrigue and irony. Let's check it out. So the game in question we are discussing today is Pokémon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. The Sinnoh remakes that are probably the most requested Pokémon games ever by the fans were, ironically enough, possibly not even planned to be a thing at all originally. That's right, it's very possible that there was no intention to make any Sinnoh remakes at all within Game Freak's original plan for the past year or so. The suspicion that this could be the case comes from the absolutely crazy release schedule that Pokémon games have been on recently. By the time Pokémon Scarlet and Violet release later this year, we will have had 3 main series Pokémon games come out within just a year's time frame. That is an unusually large amount of releases for literally any game series, and for a series that is as high profile as Pokémon, it's absolutely unheard of, especially when 2 of those came out within 2 months of each other with BDSP and Legends Arceus. Whatever way you break that down, it just doesn't make any sense, and the timing of everything as it pertains to this recent release schedule has just been very odd, so it's not a stretch at all to think that there could be some kind of reason for it, and that reason is probably, in my opinion, that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were not supposed to be there at all, and were forced into the schedule relatively last minute. Why would this be the case though? On the one hand, what would Game Freak be thinking in not planning to do a Sinnoh remake at all? And on the other hand, why would they force one into their release schedule so suddenly and alter the balance of other major releases like Pokémon Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet? Did they just suddenly change their minds about wanting to do a Sinnoh remake? Well, not exactly. What I believe could be the case is that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were not supposed to exist at all because Pokémon Legends Arceus was the Sinnoh remake. While it is, of course, not an actual remake itself, I believe, for all intents and purposes, it was supposed to be playing that role, as it has many similarities with traditional remakes, such as revisiting a previous region and generation, introducing new forms of that generation's legendary Pokémon, having updated new designs of many of this generation's characters, even though they were actually ancestors this time around, and so on. Sinnoh was obviously the next in line to get a remake as well, so it lines up with that, and it even lines up with Game Freak's philosophy of doing something different that fans aren't expecting. Since, as I mentioned, the Sinnoh remakes have probably been the most highly requested Pokémon games of all time, it only makes sense for Game Freak to throw a curveball, since that was what everyone was expecting, and adding something to Legends Arceus that has also been highly requested, which is basically making a Pokémon game like Breath of the Wild, was also the perfect kind of curveball to implement into this game in order for it to still live up to the hype, while also being very different to what fans were expecting. So with Legends Arceus likely being the effective Sinnoh remake, with no plans for a traditional remake like BDSP at all, it makes a little more sense as to why this recent release schedule feels so wonky, and like everything has been shoved into such a short amount of time. However, why things happened this way exactly is what really makes this an especially likely scenario, in my opinion. Another odd thing about this whole situation is that Pokémon Legends Arceus released in January of all places. With such a groundbreaking new game that is everything that a lot of people have wanted out of Pokémon, why would you relegate it to probably the single worst release window of the entire year, which is right after Christmas? This game is absolutely a prime holiday season type of title, so January as a time frame of release is another really weird part to this. The fact of the matter is, though, that the holiday season of 2021 is probably when Legends Arceus was originally intended to release, and it was going to be Pokemon's release for that year, with Scarlet and Violet being the release for 2022, and everything being as you would normally expect. However, somewhere along the way, there could have been an unforeseen hiccup in Legends Arceus' development, which isn't a stretch at all to believe given the scope of the game and just how different it is to other Pokemon titles. Not to mention that COVID could have also potentially caused the delay, as it has for many other video games in the industry as well. So, the writing was probably on the wall that Legends needed a little more time than was previously accounted for whatever reason, and Game Freak knew there wasn't going to be any way around it. However, Pokémon is not exactly a series that is known for or likes to implement delays on its games, so the Pokémon Company probably wasn't very willing to accept this without some kind of alternative action, and that is possibly where Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came into play. The issue with Pokemon Legends Arceus getting delayed probably wasn't so much that it would end up releasing in the early part of 2022, but instead that it would mean that Pokemon wouldn't have a release in 2021 as planned, and not to mention that it wouldn't have a holiday release either. Yearly releases have become pretty important to Pokemon recently, as since 2016 with Pokemon Sun and Moon, we've seen a main series release of some kind happen every single year, with the only minor exception coming in 2020 where we only got DLC for Sword and Shield, but honestly, that still counts. So ultimately, going a year without a release was probably something that the Pokemon Company did not want to do, and especially because it would also mean a year without a holiday release. The holidays are obviously the prime time slot for video game releases, and it is something that Pokemon has also been taking advantage of in recent years. So, with their planned 2021 release that was Legends Arceus forcibly delayed that was also going to be Pokemon's holiday title for that year, the Pokemon Company was left scrambling. They knew they couldn't do anything about the Legends delay since it was significant enough that it couldn't be avoided, but they also did not want to go without a release in 2021 during the holiday season, which is why they came up with a plan. For the first time ever, the Pokemon Company would outsource a main series Pokemon game to another studio, and the game they would be creating would be a traditional Diamond and Pearl remake, which was previously not going to happen, but with the insane demand, they knew it would sell extremely well anyway, making it the perfect thing to solve the Pokemon Company's problem. This also explains why BDSP took the faithful route and didn't really add much of anything that was new, because it was never planned to be a thing in the first place and didn't really have a whole lot of time to add any new bells and whistles, especially because it was being handled by a development team other than Game Freak, who probably would want to have control over that kind of thing. Additionally, when you think about it, the fact that BDSP was outsourced at all is another huge clue that this is probably true, because Game Freak and the Pokemon Company have never done that before, and they very much like to be in control of what they put out. I mean, for goodness sakes, they don't even like to announce their games in Nintendo Directs, and instead make dedicated presentations just for themselves. So, do you really think that handing a main series Pokemon game off to an outside studio was something they did willingly? Probably not. It was most likely something they did begrudgingly, but because they wanted to make sure they had a release for 2021, and a holiday release at that, with, of course, the original 2021 game that was likely Legends Arceus delayed out of that time frame, and this ultimately resulted in a weird, jumbled up release schedule, and effectively means that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were entirely a bonus, and were never meant to actually exist. This, of course, is just a theory, however. While it seems pretty likely that something similar to this is actually what transpired, there's no way at this time to directly confirm it. So, with that in mind, what do you think about this idea? Does it seem likely to you? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new for more Pokemon content. If you'd like to further support the channel, you can also check out my Pokemon remixes on Spotify and other streaming services, as listening to my music there greatly supports the channel right back here and my ability to make videos for you guys, and is extremely appreciated. With that said, I will be back with another video very soon, and until then, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, I love you all very much, and I will smell you guys later.